Oh my goodness, this nigga's still talking.
Yo, welcome to the Just Talking podcast. This is Na. I got with me today Joel, Saucy Joe. He was on the Soul episode with Owen. You got you.
Yo,
You
yo.
talk, yeah.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Joey Joe back on the pod with me.
All
Got
right,
some good topics to discuss today.
100%. All right, what we're about to talk about is the top 10 list all time for NBA. We're gonna get into probably top 10 where currently, and then we're gonna talk about the trade because some of those trades are wild. I still don't know about that Rudy Gobert one.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. But all right, we can get started with the top 10. All right, so how you want to go through this? You want to go bottom up or top to bottom?
I feel like we should go top to bottom because I think the top is probably where we'll agree the most.
Yeah, for the most part. All right.
Yeah.
So obviously, and for Jordan and LeBron, those I feel as though those are interchangeable. I don't really care for if you whether or not who you have number one, as long as those are your top
Yeah.
two. But
You have LeBron first?
I have Jordan personally, but honestly,
Okay,
LeBron
okay.
gets another chip. I might just say LeBron, depending
Okay.
on how he gets it as well, in the sense of like how impactful his numbers were. Because like for example, the 2020 chip, his numbers
Yeah.
were impactful, but there was also the argument you could make for Anthony Davis being Finals MVP. And then
Okay.
as much as,
That's-
and then this is just like a side thing because the way LeBron fans argue, they say Jordan's competition level in the finals wasn't that high. You're not if they argue that, I'm not. You're not going to tell me that Jimmy Butler so like by himself Miami is was supposed to be impressive either. In the sense that Bam was injured, Dragic was injured, Tyler Hero disappeared.
Again?
That's that's been this year, this playoffs too. I was shook.
It's crazy, bro.
Oh my gosh. But my third, I have Kareem, and then
Okay.
Kareem, Bird, Magic. So Bird is number
Mhm.
4, Magic is 5.
Okay.
This is the next one is where I'm like, I have Shaq and then Curry. Shaq at 6, Curry at 7, Tim Duncan at 8, and then am I forgetting somebody? So I know I know I've dropped Bill Russell off my top 10. He's definitely not in there. So I want to put Wilt at 10, but I feel like I'm forgetting someone at 9. Did I already say 8?
You
Tim
said your
Duncan.
eighth was Tim, yeah.
Duncan, yeah. I guess Wilt at 9 and then Bill Russell at 10 if I can't think of anybody. No, my fault. I know who I left off. Wilt 10, Hakeem 9.
Hakeem 9.
Hakeem at 9, yeah.
So no Russell.
No Russell.
Okay. So like, what's your criteria in your top 10? Because I feel like,
So
I don't know. 'Cause,
Oh,
like, what do you
I
value
can
the
drop.
most?
I can drop Wilt for Kobe as well. Wilt and Kobe are interchangeable in my opinion as well. But that's who I forgot too. But I definitely wanted to add Hakeem in there and then Kobe. But for my criteria is the first thing I look at would be winning and peaks. Those are the first two. So in just terms of peaks, I don't want to put Wilt and Russell in there just because the stats back then you weren't in this before the merger. This you couldn't get like actual like defined stats, but you know that they're great just because Wilt did play against Kareem, And Kareem also said Wilt was great. Kareem actually like studied under Wilt for a period in time before they started
Yeah.
beefing, which is a whole different thing. Them niggas were writing books about each other. But
That's 1960 shit right there.
that's what I'm saying. Oh my gosh. But like my issue with Bill Russell is that he had a lot of he had a lot of players that people would also say was quote unquote great, obviously, but at the same time, he didn't have the numbers efficiency wise. He was great defensively, but like
Mhm.
for in the same way of like Draymond Green is great on everything besides like actually scoring the ball and everything. But I wouldn't put Draymond Green in a top 10 just because he's an all time defender. Like he's the defensive player of the era. But I wouldn't put Draymond Green up there just because of that. In that sense, you feel me? So
Yeah, no, but I
he
think
has the
something has to
wins,
be.
but he has the wins and impact, but he doesn't have the measurables. He doesn't have the numbers where it's like where it's like necessity for top 10. You feel me?
No, I get that, but like I feel like something has to be said for having 11 championships, which is by far the most,
Yeah, but it
of
was
all time.
also
You
with a less developed league. The height was a lot lower. They didn't have a shot clock, so bigs were a lot more dominant. So while I can say that, it's like I can also look and be like, all right, but I can point out a lot of the issues with that era. Like there wasn't even half. I don't think there was even half the teams that are in the NBA now. So it makes it
No,
less
there-
impressive.
I think there were about like there may be 20-ish teams or something like that. But I mean, I get that. This is why I guess his 11 back then doesn't equate to 11 today. But
Yeah.
I still feel like he has to be in the top 10, not necessarily maybe top 8, but he has to be like
Yeah, like I
either
said, like
8, 9.
the 10th spot, in my opinion, it could go to Kobe, Wilt, or Bill Russell. Because Bill Russell and Wilt are basically, I would put Kobe ahead of both, honestly. Now that I'm thinking about it, but I could see the argument for either one of those. But I don't see either one of them being as skilled as Hakeem. Hakeem's numbers are technically better than Shaq's. Because Shaq had a fall off after his peak. Shaq's peak was just so huge, I had to put him above Hakeem. That was the only thing.
Alright. For my list, I was considering the 12 players.
I
feel like
basically did
legit-
that too.
But I think I feel like it's mostly the same 12. It's Jordan, LeBron, Kareem, Magic, him, Shaq, Bill Russell, Steph, Larry Bird, Wilt, Kobe, and Hakeem. Those are the 12 that I was considering. And in order from first to 10, I went Jordan, LeBron, Kareem, Magic, Kobe, Bird, Russell, Shaq, Tim, Curry.
You see,
Tim
so
Duncan
I
and
wasn't
Curry.
sure whether or not I would put, so you have Kobe pretty high up there. That's the only thing
Kobe
that,
and my list is 5.
yeah. I don't know if I put,
Yeah.
I don't know how comfortable I am with putting Kobe up there. I can see him ranging up to like 8 or 7 in my list. I don't know if I could put him at top 5 though. Like if we're
So I
just,
was watching.
what are you saying?
I was watching this video yesterday, and it was like it was like a ranking of like the top 75 NBA players. And essentially what the guy did was like he took basically every not every stat, but the major categories and assigned points to them and awarded those points to all the players and created a list off of who has the most points.
Okay.
And on his list, Kobe was 4th.
Okay, actually,
Right.
I didn't watch that top 75 video. But to be fair, I disagree with the top 75 list in the sense that I don't like the fact that Anthony Davis got in there. I feel as though
he
that
didn't
was
do
a
it.
lot
He
of...
didn't-
Huh?
No, he didn't do it based off the top 75 list. He just made
Oh,
his
he just
own
made his
top
own.
75.
Okay, I
Yeah,
thought you
based
I thought
off
you were
the
talking about the video
criteria he
for the
created.
top 75 list.
No, no, no.
Oh,
This
okay.
is I forget his name. It's like JXMY or something.
Oh, Jimmy Hyro.
Um, yeah, I think so. I think that's his name.
Okay.
Yeah,
So I know. I think you were.
but
Was he like? Was it like game score? Was that what the stat was called? That he or like the point system he was using?
he like so he what he did was he assigned points to NBA championships, to
Oh,
Finals
okay, yes.
MVP, to points per game, MVPs, rebounds per game, assists per game, that type of stuff,
Okay, yeah,
career wise.
yeah,
And then that's how he kind of did his ranking.
yeah.
Um,
So I'll say this: my thing is it's less of a legacy and more of a peaks type of ranking, where it's like these. I'm taking like peak years more than and go and extrapolating from there rather than doing a legacy thing. So MVPs matter, but they're not as significant as actual like game impact, and that's more of how I look at
yeah.
it. So I think you've heard of the channel because I think me and Owen have talked about it too, and I think I've sent you some videos. Thinking basketball.
hmm Yeah.
So he had a series called, let me see, Greatest Peaks. So and he did multiple episodes. I think it was like total of 15 episodes on like different people. It had Kobe, Kevin Durant, David Robinson, Bill Walton, Bill Russell, Wilt. It had all like a whole bunch of different people. And then after that, what he did is that he made a top 10 list based solely off those peak years. What?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, though, he did leave Bill Russell and Wilt Chamberlain off the list entirely, just because he was like, because this is peak years and such a stat-based list. He doesn't have like the numbers in the 60s and 70s or early 60s, and then early to late 60s
Yo,
and 13. All right, we have some
yeah.
technical issues, but we back now. But basically, essentially, my thing is more about the great, like the peaks. He didn't have the 60s and 70s player because the numbers are fuzzy, and
Right.
like I said, because of like how small the league was and how different the rules were, especially, it's like they were playing almost a completely different game, in the sense of like even like carries, like carry for them was just if they didn't dribble the ball straight up and down. So it was really like a post up heavy league. But versus how now they don't even really call carries in the NBA like that. Players are allowed
Yeah.
to basically do anything they want with the ball.
Not
So
anything, but yeah, I see what you mean though, yeah.
yeah. I mean, my favorite player is Kyrie. That nigga carries the hell out of the ball half the time.
Yeah. I
So
mean, I would say my list is one based off of um like like winning,
yeah,
obviously. And then two based off of like the height that the player reached. Not necessarily the peak, but I feel like if you won a lot and the heights that you reached are greater than what other players are, then that makes you like one of the better players, if that makes sense. You
yeah.
know?
But you have okay. So, but in that sense, wouldn't Tim Duncan be higher than Kobe? Doesn't he have?
But I feel like Tim's height for me at least personally was never above
Mm,
a Kobe, a Bird, a Magic. That's what for me, even Shaq, I don't think his height was ever above Shaq. You know,
I would
and I have
argue
Russell
that
ahead of him just
because
because he has more. He won more.
you see, but I would argue that because it was basically Tim Duncan Spurs up until that 2014-15 finals. And he was beating the Shaq and Kobe Lakers. He was beating just the Kobe Lakers. He was beating the early Warriors, the Clippers. like that. Those Spurs teams were very nasty, and I want to say because of how good they were, it caused other players to be like slightly overrated in like other terms. In the terms of like, it's not like Ginobili and company. They weren't like bad players, but you could even tell like if they're in different systems, they're not gonna be. It's not gonna work the same way. And then Tim Duncan had more of an impact, in my opinion, on the defensive side than Kobe, while still doing decent to maybe similar type of offense. He obviously didn't carry the offensive load like Kobe. So I'm not trying to say that, but numbers wise, I want to say it was similar.
Nah, but the thing is, I feel like people forget how good Kobe was on defense too. He made, I think, what, like 9 or 10 all defensive. I think it's 9 first team all defense, and maybe like 10 to 12 all defensive teams. Like Kobe was always well regarded as a good, solid defensive guard. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but
And for me,
this man got Tim Duncan got 15.
I mean, of course
He holds the record.
of course he's known for his defense. I get that, but I'm just saying like the discrepancy in the defense isn't it's not that big. Like
Yeah, like
10
no,
to 15, it's more for
I won't
sure.
say it's not that big. I won't say it's not that big. Like I said, Kobe's offense is what gets him in the conversation for me to be comparable to Tim Duncan because of how good Tim Duncan's defense is. But I also feel as though because Tim Duncan he isn't as like fun to watch as Kobe and everything. So that's my issue with like how he's regarded. Because people will leave him off top 10 list, and I think that's ridiculous in general.
No, I don't think you can. I don't think you can leave him just because one, he won in like what, 3 different decades,
Yeah,
2 or 3 different decades.
99, 2000s, and then the 2010.
Yeah. So winning, he's definitely one of the best, like one of the winners of all time, if you think about it.
Yep.
So I don't think you can leave him off. But for me, like I said, when I'm thinking about like the heights of the career, I'm thinking about like Kobe scoring 81. I'm talking about, you know, like
Okay, but that's what I'm
obviously
saying.
a
Mine
three-peat.
mine doesn't count those because it's like it's less of a legacy. Kobe's legacy a lot stronger and better than Tim Duncan's. But I feel as though
Definitely.
putting but the lens that I look at it is like it's less of a legacy because I feel as though that's less important than like getting to the straight impact and numbers of it. I guess mine is more a little bit analytical in that sense then.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like those things matter too, but um, I don't know. I guess this is why like people always have debates about these things because it's like you got to
Yeah.
figure out what the criteria is
No,
in the top
100%.
10, and that kind of directs how you pick the list. But
Yeah. So, and like because the reason I do my top 10 like this is because we're about when we get into it, maybe this is a good segment or transition, but if we're doing it with when we're just doing top 10 players by year, but when we're doing by year, legacy isn't like as important, which is also so it's like I want to keep a consistency between the way I just rank things. So I feel so it's like when I do it, I'm taking peak years, and I feel as though that's more what would matter. Your list isn't like we didn't. I feel as though when we are disagreeing, it was before Steph Curry got his Finals MVP because I was saying I could see Steph Curry going as high as like 5 or 6. I wouldn't put him there
no, I
personally,
can't see that.
but
Yeah, I
it's
can't
like
see that.
his offensive impact, and he was never a bad defender. And this year, he was turning up on defense. I was very surprised. I mean, he got muscle now, like him and Giannis.
Yeah, you could definitely tell
Lord.
Steph's been in the gym, bro.
That's what
If
I'm
you look
saying.
at pictures from like 2015 to now,
Yep.
different guy. Yeah.
And but
Yeah, no, I don't think Curry could be as high as 5 or 6 on my list. I feel like as of today, the highest I could put him is like 8.
I can
Just
see
because, like,
just because like
I,
nah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say I feel like my top 5 or 6, they all have more rings than him for sure. Um, and like they're just all time players. Like he's not getting into that list as of yet. If he won another ring or another MVP, or something like that, then
Yeah.
I guess he could crack into that 6 or 5. But as of now, I don't think he could get as high as 6 or 5, maybe 8.
I feel that. I think what really diminishes a little bit of Steph Curry's thing is the fact that KD did join. Unfortunately, because like he would at
And
least have more Finals MVPs. Honestly, even one of KD's Finals MVPs, you could argue that Steph Curry deserved it. Then the 2015,
yeah, but
I
but do
still
they
don't know.
do they win those rings without KD? I don't know.
I think they win one without KD. I can't give them both, but I do think they can win one. Like,
Because
cause Kyrie's not leaving if KD doesn't join. I'll say that most likely.
Draymond was on record saying that they don't win those rings without KD. I feel like for sure they would have lost the first one in 2017.
Yeah,
2018 they might have had a chance because Kyrie left, and
yeah.
obviously
Okay,
Kevin Love was going for a lot of stuff.
With Kyrie leaving, I have them winning. But I'm assuming that if Kevin Durant is like, if the team isn't so stacked, I can still
Yeah.
see Kyrie staying. So if
Well, if Kyrie
2018,
stayed, then I don't think they would have won any
I
of
can
them.
still see them. I can still see them winning because it's like 2016 was still like a fight. It was like, although like game seven, it was like nobody was scoring in the last 4 minutes until like those last few shots by Kyrie and then the free throws with LeBron. So it's like,
But also it's not even
and,
just
And
about
Curry had like bad numbers in that game 7 too.
it's not even just about the finals. They were struggling against the Rockets in the Western Conference. That went to at least 6 or 7 games, and they only won because Chris Paul got injured. You know what I mean? They
Yeah,
struggled getting out of the West in those years a little bit. So I feel like without KD,
but
I
that was the
think
only one, and it was like the that Rockets team. People were saying that Rockets team, if they had beat the Warriors, people had them beating the Cavaliers as well.
they probably would have. I think they would have.
That's what I'm saying. So it's like it's not as if it was like it was something that I'm gonna sit here and be like, okay, like I can fight it because it's like in that for that series, people had whoever coming out the West in general, and then I also think because I remember in that series there was a point in time where like people were saying Kevin Durant and Steve Kerr were beefing. That's when like they were first talking about it because there was a period in time where like Steve Kerr had pulled Kevin Durant and was saying that he was playing a little bit outside their system. And I remember, for example, in what was it 2019 playoffs when Kevin Durant got injured, and the
Yeah,
Rockets were
yeah.
against them again in that one. And the moment Kevin, like as bad as it sounds, the moment Kevin Durant got injured, and you got to see the old Warriors like fully with their system and everything, it felt like they were just blowing people out. Like I'm not up that Rockets team. Chris Paul wasn't the same as he was before, obviously. So it wasn't as impressive. But it was like a closer series when KD was in. It felt like than when KD was out. And that was more the shocking thing. I feel like the
I
system
mean,
ran better
yeah.
without KD. And then that was shown when they were going in the Portland series. Obviously, I think the Rockets were better than Portland that year. Portland had a hard series with the Nuggets, and Dame kind of fell off after that OKC series that year. Because the Nuggets series, he was just okay, and then with the Warriors series, he was not showing up. But the Trailblazers were up, I think, in 3 of the games that they lost. They were up going into the half, and then the Warriors had that third quarter joint that they usually have, where they just blow teams out.
Right.
So that's why I'm like, I'm not gonna say that it's like 100% that like Warriors are gonna win 2017, 2018, even with Kyrie on the Cavs. But I will say that I give them a good chance. I give them a split for that. I think they would have split with
Yeah,
the
but
Cavs. So 2-2.
yeah, and I think this is kind of why I'm like, I don't know if Curry is gonna be able to crack into that
Yeah.
like top 5 is because you can only really say this, like definitively say this year was the year where the team won and he was like the main contributor to that winning.
I think you can say that for
You know what I mean?
2015.
You can't. It's like it's iffy because he didn't win. That Finals MVP matters.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah, but
It's
I've
iffy.
I've also
And
I've been on record. I don't because you've seen some of the vote people who get votes for the Finals MVP for all NBA teams.
right, it was just media
The
people.
jump Rachel Nichols, she had a vote.
Yeah,
I don't think she literally got a vote because she started hosting the jump. Before then, she didn't even cover basketball. She covered baseball. It didn't make sense that she had a vote. So it's like I'm not gonna ding him that harshly because when you look at that, because I looked at the finals. I'm gonna share the screen on Discord. So 2015. Let me see. And then I'm just gonna like say it out loud for the most part, but the 2015 finals, there was like a lot of things where I'm like, I don't understand. Does it not give me all of it? Wow. How do I go? Okay, 2015 playoffs. I guess I click on that first. Oh my gosh, my internet. But
yeah. It's making your voice a little glitchy.
yeah, oh my gosh. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. All right, so what is it? Team opponent stats. Why is it not? All right, Eastern Conference Finals, and then right here, series stats. Because when you look, Clay actually did not perform that well in that series. I didn't know. I didn't keep that in mind originally, but Clay didn't perform that well in that series. Draymond did typical Draymond stuff, but a good amount of like other people didn't perform. And then Iguodala's numbers were like, Iguodala's numbers were like 16, 5, and 4. That's worst Finals MVP numbers since Bill Russell. And Bill Russell was a
16,
better
5.
was more contributive on the defensive end than Andre Iguodala. Draymond Green for this series was more contributive on the defensive end, in my opinion, than Iguodala. So I would have given it to Draymond at that point if you're gonna just talk
I
defense.
mean, I get it, bro, but it's like at the end of the day, he didn't win. It's like when you think about Kobe, right? Kobe has won MVP, but there's at least 2 or 3 or 4, maybe like 2 or 3 seasons definitely that you can go back and look and say Kobe should have and could have won this MVP, right? But we know that all time.
Could have. I don't
when you
know if I
look
would
back,
give him a should have. What
huh?
MVP season you giving to Kobe that
For
he
Kobe,
didn't get?
yo, your audio's cutting up again.
Yeah, I'm gonna cut off the screen share. I'll just say the numbers, but I don't know, because people be saying that they be doing that for LeBron, they be doing that for saying that for Jordan. I don't know if I'm gonna give, maybe there's 1 year, a Steve Nash year, that I'll
So
give.
the MVP he won was in 07, 08,
Yeah,
right? He could have won the MVP the 2 years before that.
was those the Steve Nash years?
Um, it was what 05, 06, 06, 07. I think one of those.
Yeah,
Maybe
well, I
both
think
of
the
them might have been the Steve
04,
Nash years.
05 one was Steve Nash's. Yeah, 05, 06 was Steve Nash.
Yeah,
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. But there was also arguments for, I think, LeBron that year, Shaq, I think, as well. Who else? There's a lot of
bro,
arguments. So I'm saying,
bro.
I'll give you, but I'll give you that one. But that's only one. I wouldn't give him any other one.
No. 05, 06, 06, 07. Bro, Kobe was averaging 35, like borderline 36 on like what's his field goal percentage? 45, 46% field goal percentage. Like, bro, come on. I get his team wasn't that good, but they were still making the playoffs. They were still a playoff contender.
What was his
Like,
team? What were the Lakers that year? What
let me
seed?
see. 05, 06. They had 45 wins. I'm not seeing where they placed in the West.
They're probably like fourth or fifth. I don't. Okay, so because I won't lie, I definitely for the MVP in specific because of how I don't even think like because of how low Russ's team was. He had the stats, but I don't know if I'd give him. I don't know if thought he should have been the MVP. For the MVP in specific, I do put in like games win in there, games win, and standing.
Yeah.
So that's why it's like it's a hit or miss. That's why I'm like I'll give him the Steve Nash one because Steve Nash is just winning it for free.
But yeah, but no, my point is that like when you look back in history, there's always gonna be that. There's always gonna be like, oh, he should have won this. He should.
But that's what I'm saying. But like there's no argument for like. So for that 05, 06, there's other contenders besides Kobe. Kobe isn't like the end all be all. For Steph, it doesn't even make sense that Iguodala was a contender. If you look at his numbers.
The thing is, what's crazy is I think that was the finals where people actually considered giving MVP to LeBron because of how crazy his stats were.
I would have given it to LeBron over Iguodala too.
Yeah, it would have just been so unprecedented because like, obviously nobody's ever won it after losing.
That's what I'm saying. I wouldn't. Besides that one guy, the logo, I forgot what his name was.
Jerry West.
Yeah, he was the only one. I would if they gave it to LeBron, I wouldn't even be making this argument. I'd be like, fine, Steph Curry didn't win. But the fact that they were all like, no, we're gonna give it to the person on the winning team. Steph Curry averaged 26, 5, and 6 with almost 2 steals and a quarter of a block. Iguodala's numbers 16, 5, and 4 with 1.3 steals and 0.3 for block. Literally, the block is not. Huh?
How was Steph Curry shooting in that final series?
So his 3-point did drop down to 38% instead of the 40, and then his field goal was about 44%. He only had one bad game though. Within that entire series.
What about at the free throw line?
Free throw line, 88%. 80, basically 89 because it's 88.5 or 88.5%.
Yeah.
Iguodala was 35% at the free throw line.
I mean, I feel like there's no debate who was the best player on the Warriors in that series. We all know who it was. It's just that the fact that his name isn't next to that Finals MVP for that year, it's gonna be a dink on. I'm just saying, like that's how.
That's what I'm saying. I understand. It's just so it hurts.
Sucks,
it's ridiculous, and just how it went on because then when you just look at everybody else's numbers past that, Klay Thompson averaged 15 points that series with 30% shooting from the 3-point line. Draymond 26% shooting from the 3-point line, and 38% from the field.
That's pretty good for Draymond, bro.
I guess. And then Harrison Barnes did decent, but even his numbers weren't. He had 8 points. After that, and nobody after Draymond scored over double digits. Everybody else, Harrison Barnes had 8 points. After Sean Livingston only had 5 points. Bosa only got 5 points. And then they were just having random people David Lee played a little bit of minutes, but it wasn't significant. So it's it's such a crazy thing that Iguodala won. Iguodala was you could argue was second or third best player, but it was on a team that was more or less basically ran by just Steph Curry. And if you look at the like point, and it's reflective in the point totals because like I think on average for the 6 games, the Warriors scored about 100 points and the Cavs only scored 93, which shows how much of a load LeBron was carrying. But it shows that even the Warriors, who are usually a high level offense, falling down because nobody else was producing to their standards at least.
Yeah. Do you feel like to an extent maybe the Finals MVP trophy should be given to like the player on the winning team, but for the whole playoff run? You know, I mean, I know now they have this Western
the
Conference
Magic
thing,
and the Larry Bird Awards.
Yeah,
but even that one's not for the playoffs. That one's for just the
that's for just the Western Conference series or Eastern.
I'll
Conference
say that
series.
I wish for that one. That one they did the playoffs leading up to the finals.
Yeah, I feel like they need a trophy like that.
100%.
Yeah, because if that was the case, cause then Curry definitely would have won because like he carried them through most of their series.
Yeah.
Prior to the finals, you know.
100%. It's just I don't. Yeah. It's just when people. It's like when. Well, it's just like when people make weird arguments. Like the Finals MVP doesn't matter that much if he made it to the finals and he got the ring. That's what my only point
and
for it.
No, you have to contribute. Yeah, you have to contribute though.
I mean, I'm saying for those high level players, like obviously like you have to contribute, but it's not an argument for whether or not Steph Curry contributed. You feel me?
Right.
And then I already said for I think it was the 2017 one. That one, it was arguable for Curry as well. KD won it, and I'm not saying KD shouldn't have won, but Curry's numbers were still,
The 2018.
Was it the 2018?
I think that's the year that's the one they swept, right?
Yeah, 2018 was the one they swept. 2017 was the 5-game series. I'm looking at the numbers right now. In the series, the advanced stats, points. Oh, why is it not giving me per game points? Points per game. KD dropped 35. Maybe it was the 2018 one. Yeah, I think you're right. Let me check 2018. I know one of them was like it was arguable. Yeah, 2018. Steph Curry dropped 27.5 points. KD did 28.
Yeah.
So like that one, a little bit more comparable. I'm not mad that KD won because it's a toss up for that one. But
I mean, I think KD just stood out overall in those games. Like the shots he made were just in like
perfect timing.
Perfect timing.
100%.
Yeah, so it was kind of hard for him not to get those MVPs.
100%. That's what I'm saying. I can understand those 2 years. I'm just like, I don't ding Curry as hard for not getting the MVP for his all-time case. I wouldn't personally put him as high as 5 or 6. I think I had him 7, and I feel as though that's a solid spot for him. But I could see him like stretching out to there. I can see him at the end of his career. He gets maybe 2 more chips. I can see him easy top 5. With just
now,
2.
if he gets 2 more chips,
easy.
2 more chips, and I'm assuming if he gets 2 more chips, he's gonna win MVP.
Yeah,
in both of them. Then I would put him top 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, because one, I mean, obviously he has the unanimous MVP. He changed the game, best shooter of all time. That would be 6 rings, 3 Finals MVPs. Yeah, that's top 5.
That's top 5 easy.
That's definitely top 5.
All right. Now, so we didn't have our top 10 list already decided. Let me see how much time we got. We're in the 40-minute mark. Do you want to talk about trades or do you want to do top 10s?
It's up to you, bro. It's up to you. I feel like the top 10 for today is a little interesting, too, though, because there's so many players that were injured last year
Yeah.
So are we doing like top 10 based off solely last year, or what we think gonna be this year coming up? You know?
Ooh, that is a good one. All right, so because at first I was just thinking about last year, so I was like Kawhi wouldn't count and whatnot.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like this year
We'll
coming
we'll
up,
we'll,
that's where
we'll
it
do
gets
the top 10 for the next one in a different episode. How about that? Because we can
for
also do
next year.
predictions.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we can mix that with predictions. We'll do top 10 for this past year though.
Okay.
So I think I'm gonna have. It's weird. Curry regular season numbers, he it doesn't get up there just because he had a his worst shooting season. I'm pretty sure because this is the first year he didn't shoot 40% from three and everything.
Yeah.
But if you count playoffs, because he started turning up completely in the playoffs. He was dropping almost 30 when he was starting off the bench for the Nuggets in the Nugget series.
Yeah, yeah, but that's the thing though. Can we count playoffs?
Okay, if we're just
You
doing
know,
regular
should we
season,
count playoffs?
if we're just
I'm
doing
assuming
regular
most of the
season,
most of the top 10 players made the playoffs, but
yeah,
I feel like we kind of have to do just regular season because
yeah,
like LeBron didn't make the playoffs. You know,
yeah.
as
But
sad
I
as
was still
that
going
is.
to put LeBron's top five, even
Okay.
without doing that. LeBron
Yeah,
is in that top five without because it wasn't his fault that they didn't make the playoffs.
yeah. Actually, no. Let's include the playoffs
Yeah,
because I feel like I have to thank one Jason Tatum for what he did in the finals, and
yeah, yeah,
KD a little bit too.
yeah. We definitely dig in KD and Tatum. Honestly, Tatum, even not even just counting the finals in the Bucks game, there was a game where he didn't show up, or two to three games where he didn't show up. That was the Al Horford
Yeah,
and Jaylen Brown games. Even in the
yeah.
Heat series, he was gone for like two games at least, 2 or 3 games.
He's just
So
inconsistent for me. He's a little inconsistent.
yeah, no, dog. That's why because remember how I'm a Celtics fan. I've always said I like Jaylen Brown better because I know what I'm gonna get from him for the most part. He's
Yeah,
not at like he's gonna be a little bit He's not like he's not the playmaker. He's gonna be a little bit turnover, but he's gonna put up his shots and he's gonna give me what I know he's gonna give me on defense as well.
yeah. I think Jaylen Brown was probably the most consistent offensive threat on the Celtics
Yeah,
throughout the whole playoff run.
100%.
Yeah.
So I would say my list just going like straight through. Not, there can be like up and downs. I have Steph Curry, Jokic, Giannis, Embiid, LeBron. Those round out the top five. After
Okay.
after the top five, it gets shaky in my opinion. So I have after that KD,
AD or KD?
KD, Kevin Durant,
KD. Okay. Okay.
Kevin
Just
Durant.
making sure. Just making sure. Just making sure.
I have Kevin Durant. Um, dang, who's another player? I'm trying to think of players now. Who else
You're
made
missing.
Jimmy?
You're
No,
missing.
Jimmy Butler didn't have these
You're missing
all the time.
maybe Luca.
Oh yeah, Luca. My fault.
James.
I might have Luca above KD actually because the defense on the Mavericks went up. So and he started playing a little bit better on defense. So it's Luca KD. So that's
You
6
could
and
put
7.
Ja. Could put um, James Harden, Tatum,
Uh,
Booker, Butler.
you see, I feel so after like 7 and 8, everybody ranges like there's so many ranges for like the 8 spot to like 12. So it's like
Yeah.
John Moran, Tatum. I don't. Maybe in the beginning for James Harden, especially when he first got traded to Philly, but after that, it was like his numbers were just the efficiency numbers or fall in. He wasn't even shooting like nearly as well from three. So it's like James Harden.
Yeah.
It's like he's at the bottom. I don't know if I'd put him in my 10.
I mean, his overall numbers for the season were still, I feel like, top 10 because he was second in assists.
Yeah,
over 7 rebounds.
he had,
like
but
8
his
rebounds
turnover
a game.
numbers were also like, if you look,
Yeah,
Russ was first in turnovers for most of this season. James Harden was second.
Yeah, he's always gonna be up there in turnovers.
That's what I'm saying. So it's like when you do assist, like the efficiency for most of his numbers were wild, in my opinion. So it's like like those turnovers ding his assist. You feel me? It's not like Chris Paul levels of it. So and that was the thing with Booker. Throughout the entirety of the season, Booker was putting up I didn't know whether or not Booker was the best player or Chris Paul was the best player.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like if I'm putting Booker there, I gotta put Chris Paul there, and I don't think there's enough space in the top 10, maybe for both of them. Maybe one of them is 10 and the other one's 11, but it's like Tatum. The issue with Tatum is that in the first half of the season, the Celtics were very inconsistent and bad. And that was even my issue for like whether or not I wanted Marcus Smart to be the defensive player of the year, because it's like our defense was bad, especially in the clutch moments of our fourth quarters of the season in the beginning. So it's like we're giving them their props for being able to turn their season around, but we still have to consider the first half of the season. And that's the thing where it's like I'll put Tatum in there, so Tatum can be 8. Who else was Jimmy Butler 9? I'll do that. 10 we'll put Booker.
So you got Curry. You said Jokic?
Yeah, Curry,
LeBron.
Jokic. No, not LeBron. Giannis is next, then Embiid, and then LeBron.
Okay, Curry, Jokic, Giannis, Embiid, LeBron, KD, or Luka,
KD,
Tatum, Jimmy, and then
Booker. Yeah.
Okay. I feel like my top 10. I say number one. Number one is Giannis, bro. I feel like I'm really impressed with Giannis. Like I would say maybe two.
I can see Giannis going up to like peaking at top 10 for me or number one, but and same for Jokic also peaking there. It was Embiid is the only person within the top. Embiid and LeBron are the ones where it's like the Embiid the furthest I can give him is 2, and for LeBron the furthest I could give him is 3. Maybe 4, honestly. But that's the furthest I would even go for either of those, if I consider ranges.
But I feel like Giannis, I guess 3 years ago, I was like, I'm not really big on Giannis. You know, after they choked the 3-1 right against.
It was not even like so. They won the first 2 games, which
they won.
They were home games, and then they lost. And then they lost the next 4, I think.
Right.
Against the Raptors.
It was against the Raptors, right?
Yeah, and then they did the same thing against the Heat in the bubble.
And after those, I was thinking Giannis, he's limited this and that and third, but for him to go on and win the chip, and then this year come back, lose Middleton, they handled the Bulls. I mean, the Bulls weren't at their full strength, but for them to beat them in 5 games, and then take the Celtics to 7.
And literally,
I feel like that
was the best series of the playoffs. I love
they easily could have won that series.
Yeah, and honestly,
could have won that series.
Oh my gosh, dude! So for that one, I was always high on Giannis. I was never with how other people were I never dinged them as heavy for the other 2 series against the Heat and the Raptors. because it was like nobody else besides Brook Lopez was helping him. He had no help in the sense of, I think even like, because I remember because we be having the arguments about Middleton and everything. Middleton in those series wasn't shooting well from three. He wasn't efficient in those series. He was highly inefficient. They had, who's the point guard before? Bledsoe. Bledsoe was inconsistent as hell. It was like he never had the supporting cast to what what Kawhi Leonard had in the Raptors with his supporting cast. Even what Jimmy Butler had with the Heat, to a lesser degree, obviously. But Tyler Hero and Dragic were showing up. Bam, for the most part, was also like there. It was like I could always be like, all right, Giannis is the best player on the Giannis in the Kawhi one. You could say Kawhi was the best player on the floor, but Giannis was always one or two for the best player on the floor. But the next 2 to 3 best players were almost always on the other team. At least in that series, if you look at the stats, Lowry and Lowry and Siakam, next two for the against the Raptors. For the Heat, honestly, it was Bam, and you could argue whether Dragic or Hero for that series particularly. It was like, but it was like, so I never dinged him as hard as other people did, but I could understand why he wouldn't be there. His jumps have been great. So I
feel like for me, it wasn't really like dinging him. It's just that from those series, I kind of felt like his game was limited.
Yeah.
Right, because he struggled a lot from the free throw line, and he obviously wasn't making any threes. He wasn't really taking mid range jump shots.
Yeah.
But his game has developed. Now he kind of has a fadeaway shot.
Yeah, he has the middies. He has
a little bit of
he has the hooks. He's been working a little bit for the
go
post
in a little
game.
bit more.
Yep.
Yeah, and his free throw percentage is like, I think it was like in the high 70s or something, 78 maybe.
Mid to high 70s. Yep.
So I'm like, Giannis, he's been putting the work in, and it's been showing. So I feel like right now, today, I feel like he's the best player in the NBA right now.
100%.
So I would say Giannis is first. I'll put Jokic as second. For me, that's only because he won the MVP, and I feel like, having won the MVP, you got to be 1 or 2.
Yeah.
I just put Giannis higher because I feel like his team is more relevant. Then I'll put Embiid because I feel like it was them 3 for MVP anyway.
Yeah, it was basically them 3. It was Embiid, and Embiid only lost it literally at the end because then they started losing those games, and it's not. It wasn't his fault for them losing, but he didn't have the best numbers. He didn't. There was I think one against the Celtics. It was the one right before the James Harden had gotten traded, but he wasn't cleared to play.
Yeah. The
Celtics blew out the 76ers. It was.
Yeah, but I was like, that 76ers team. Yeah. I mean, I get it.
Yeah, no, it's not. It wasn't the fact that they lost that game. It was the fact that they got blown out, and then I don't think Embiid even reached 20 points in that game.
Yeah, the 2 teams I feel like Embiid kind of struggles against is usually the Celtics and the Raptors.
Yeah.
They
just always have the size for him.
Yeah.
Size and then switch, so it's like they were just always on him.
So I'll put those 3 at the top 3. Then I'll put Curry. Well, I mean, I'll put Curry because we're including playoffs. I'll put Curry. I'll put LeBron. I'll put KD, and then Luka. I feel like KD, for me, KD is still better than Luka. But Luka did impress me to get that Mavs team to the Western Conference. That's impressive.
What really? Because the issue with Luka, and because I used to, so it was literally the last year's finals run actually. Because I was arguing with Mo and Owen because they wanted to drop Giannis from their top 5 and put Luka and Harden in there. And I was all like, I wouldn't do that. It's crazy, Giannis.
What, like 2 years ago?
No, it was last year. Literally, when they were going against so it was right after they had swept the Heat. Or was it a sweep for the Heat, or was it 5 games? One of the two. It was after they beat the Heat. they wanted to put Giannis lower, and I was all like, no. The issue with Luka for me was defense. Luka's gotten good enough at defense right now where it's like he's not a clear negative on defense. So I think that helped propel him for me above KD. Those two are really interchangeable, but I feel as though Luka just a little bit, and then the thing that dinged KD was definitely that sweep. All of them were close games, but him in particular, he didn't show up until game 4. And that's definitely a thing.
That's valid. That's definitely valid. And I mean, I guess if we're going off this season solely, I feel like I obviously have a bit of a bias just because I'm like, I know who KD is.
Yeah.
I know how efficient he is. I know the heights of KD. That's why I'm like, it's hard to put a younger player that has
100%
less on this less above him. But I guess solely off the season, it would make sense to put Luka ahead of him. But yeah, like you said, they're probably interchangeable at 5 and 6. You could put either one, or at 6 and 7. So you could put either one of them there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Luka, KD, Luka at 6, 7.
Yeah.
Then at 8, I want to put Ja, because I think.
Yeah, I should have put Ja into the Booker. Ja is 10. I forgot about Ja. Ja is definitely a little bit more impressive than Booker.
Because for the Grizzlies to be a second seed, like I didn't have the Grizzlies in the top 6.
I had them.
As
I had them in there.
I've
been high on Jaren Jackson Jr. specifically. Like obviously, I was really high on Ja, and I knew what he could be. I was high on Jaren Jackson Jr. The only thing that scared me was the Valanciunas trade. I didn't know how I felt about Steven Adams. I also didn't know that. I also thought Dylan Brooks would be better than he was this season, but Bane made up for that. Desmond Bane.
Desmond Bane definitely showed up. Yeah, but yeah, I would put Ja at 8 just because I think for a while he was also in the MVP conversation. His numbers were crazy.
Okay,
I
don't think he should have been an MVP. Like maybe if you want to say top 5. But they were putting him in the conversation over Giannis at first, and that should have never been a thing.
No.
Did you watch that one clip where Stephen A. Smith was all like, it was in the playoffs too, oh my gosh. He had a clip where he was asked, Molly said, in these playoffs, who would you take, Giannis or John Morant? And Stephen A. said with a bold face, he said, I might pick Ja.
I think sometimes he says things just to be controversial. That's why in those shows I don't take them seriously anymore, bro. But
that's what I'm saying. It was just.
No, I feel that. I think. I mean, when I say conversation, I mean he was in the like top 6 because there was about 6 or 7 solid MVP cases.
Yeah. Okay.
So he was in that, especially like during the middle of the seson when they were like
when people were getting injured and stuff.
Yeah. So he was definitely in there. So I'll probably put him at 8. At 9, I'll put. It's kind of tough because I'm thinking the first 2 seed I haven't put any of their players in.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking at 8. I mean at 9, I'll probably put Jimmy in. Because Jimmy, in the playoffs especially, Jimmy really turned
up. That was his play. Dog, I was surprised he was taking all those, like, running three-pointers going towards the right corner. I was shocked when he was hitting those against the Hawks. He hit them against the Sixers. He hit them against the Celtics sometimes. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, Jimmy, I think this was probably his best playoff.
Yeah.
His best playoff run in his career.
100%.
And he's had some big ones. So I would think maybe I'll put him at 8. I'll put Ja at 9. Put Jimmy at 8.
Okay.
Just because of that, because he was averaging maybe almost 30 in the whole playoff. In his whole playoff run.
Basically 30, and he had those super down games too, and he was still averaging nearly 30.
Yeah, he had at least three 40-point games that I can remember.
Yeah,
maybe more.
That's what I'm
So yeah,
saying.
I'll put him at 8. Put Ja at 9, and then the 10th spot could go to 3 players in my eyes. It could be either Tatum, Booker, or DeRozan for me.
DeRozan is also another good one.
Yeah, I think DeRozan has to be mentioned in here because DeRozan also had a really, really good season.
And for him especially, the Bulls had like COVID protocol. Lonzo was hurt. Alex
Yeah,
Caruso was hurt. Zach LaVine was hurt. Like he literally carried them, especially with how like
yeah,
close the seedings were for the Eastern Conference, like specifically this season. Like I think the difference between the top seed and the 8th seed were like less than 10 games.
yeah. The Eastern Conference was super close this year. Super
So
close. But
yeah,
I feel
so
like
definitely got to give him props for that.
he low-key could have been like in the conversation for like most improved player of the year too
Yeah,
because he took his points per game total from like
18,
21,
20.
20-ish
Yeah,
to like 28. So
100%. I
he
definitely, I
was
didn't think,
basically in a
I didn't
franchise.
understand. I don't know if you saw it, but there was a lot of hate when when the Bulls signed him. They were saying they paid too much and everything. I didn't get that because the year previous, DeRozan was already in All-Star conversation. Like it was reserved, but he was still in the All-Star conversation. So what
Yeah,
they paid for an All-Star, I thought was really good for what because he was a 3-year contract. It wasn't like super hefty. I didn't. People were saying that that was the worst signing of the offseason. That's how bad people were talking about it.
I mean, I don't think it was the worst signing, but I can get the like skepticism because I feel like the year he had was definitely not what people expected him to have. Like this was probably one of his, I think probably one either the
Yeah,
first or second best season he's had in his career.
yeah, nah,
But like
100%. Like I'm not. That's what I'm
signing a
saying.
player,
Once you saw his like the season, it was ridiculous. It made those takes
yeah,
ridiculous. But when
right,
to
right,
start,
right,
even
right.
to start it though, I was all like, because so my thing was, I'm a little bit lower than most people for Lonzo as a playmaker in the sense of him and Ben Simmons. I feel as though they're transition playmakers. Like if there's a break and everything, I know I want them to start the ball because they're perfect to start it and then lead the team. But in the half court setting, I don't. Ben Simmons a little bit. The reason he's sus is because his offensive capabilities limit what he can, his playmaking in the half court. Like he would have to take a Draymond type of role in the half court if he's going to be playmaking, because people are going to sag off of him. People are going to need to actually run screens with that. It would be more handoff actions with Ben Simmons.
Yeah,
Lonzo, I just haven't seen I haven't seen enough in the half court for me to be like, all right, he can be like a Chris Paul type player where he could run the pick and roll every now and like be
no,
like
that's not
solidified on
Lonzo.
that. That's what I'm saying.
He's
So it's
not
like,
Lonzo's not like a what's the word they use? Not like a floor general. I
general,
don't think he's a
yeah,
floor
floor
general.
general. That's what I would say.
He
He's not that.
he's more yeah he gets his assist a lot in either like transition or I don't know driving kicks more so than
Yeah,
like off a screen or roll and picking the defense apart from that.
that's what I'm saying.
Um,
So, but DeRozan in the Spurs, the reason his like point total dipped a little bit is because the system
yeah,
runs, and DeRozan
yeah,
was being more of that half court facilitator, more of that floor general, and that's where I was all like, DeRozan covers up what else the Bulls needed, in my opinion. They needed somebody
yeah,
because they had somebody. Vucevic played a lot worse than I thought he would this season. I thought he would be a lot better. That was actually surprising to
low-key.
me. But Vucevic, I was like, all right, they have somebody that can pass out of the post in Vuce. Then they have someone who can do the transitional ones in Lonzo. They need somebody that I could 100% count on sometimes to have the half court in order whenever there was an issue. And I felt like that
Hmm.
was the perfect spot for DeRozan.
Yeah, but nah, I think I put him. Yeah, I put him in that 10 above
Yeah,
Booker
Tatum.
um and Tatum.
Yeah.
Even though I rate Booker so high, he deserves to be in there, but I think the 10 I have are probably a little more deserving than him.
Yeah. Honestly, you made a good point.
His
I'm
playoffs
definitely
were a little
dropping
shaky,
Tatum
too.
to 10 and picking Ja up to 9. I think I might put Butler ahead of Tatum as well. I'm a Celtics fan, so maybe I was being a little bit homerish. And I definitely forgot about DeMar.
You think? Yeah.
Dang. So, yeah, I'll put Jimmy 8, Ja 9, and then Tatum 10. Just because in that second half of the season, Tatum's numbers were, like, explosively better. And it was because in the first half, the reason why he was so inconsistent, he couldn't finish around the rim for the life of him. And that same thing happened in the finals, where he could just not finish around the rim. He was like looking for fouls. He was fighting with the refs. He was arguing about Draymond, and it was just ridiculous. But when he's like fully like committed to that, and he's doing that, that's usually when he plays his best. I just didn't know why, because it was a thing all playoffs with the Celtics, and I didn't understand why in the finals they chose to completely break down in that, where they were just still baiting for fouls.
Wait, so I have a question.
Yeah.
When we talk about these top 10 players of like, and today, you know, I feel like there's one guy we always leave off, but I feel like his numbers are top 10 numbers. And that's Trae Young.
Trae Young's defense. So, because that's
what
the
does
thing.
he need to do to get him in that top 10?
Okay,
You know what I mean?
Because for Curry, even though him as a like Trae Young, because I think there was a stat where it was all like Trae Young led offense is a top 5 offense.
Yeah.
My issue with Trae Young, and it's honestly not just Trae Young, it's heliocentric offenses in general, where once because it was shown in the Heat series, for example, once they start looking at you and be like, we just got to stop him from having the ball in his hand. In the regular season, teams don't do it as much as they do it in the postseason and everything. And even last year, I'll be completely honest, I knew the Hawks were going to be a play-in team. I called it immediately after their playoff run. I thought that the Knicks were sus anyways, so I was all like, that series was crazy. I'm shocked. I was shocked that they beat the 76ers. The way the 76ers fell apart was disgusting. I didn't think that was going to happen again. Even if Ben Simmons wasn't going to play. I didn't think that. I thought that even just Embiid would be able to win, because Embiid is always injured in the playoffs, as sad as it is. So he ends up always not being as efficient sometimes, or being able to perform up to his normal standards. I think the only playoffs he wasn't injured was the 2021 in the bubble, and he had like the rest in between, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like that. My issue with Trae Young is that, and then his defense, because it's not like he's like Steph Curry where he's a good team defender. It's like he's just not a defender at all, like in any sense of the metrics. Yeah. Those are the two things that drop him.
Now I get that, but
he's between like early 20s to top 15. 100%.
Yeah. Nah. For me, he has to be like around like after Booker, Tatum, maybe Chris Paul. He's like in that next category.
Yeah, but that's like pushing. That's pushing 15.
I feel like he's even competing with Chris Paul. I feel like he's more from like the 15 to 12 range. 15, 12, maybe 11. Because, like, bro, his numbers, he's averaging what this season.
But Chris Paul's a better defender, so that helps him. Chris Paul's case.
Yeah. No, I get that. But, bro, he's averaging 28, 10 assists, 9.7, so really 10.
Yeah.
On 90% free throw shooting. He had 38%, which is his career high, in 3-point shooting this year.
Yeah.
And his field goal percentage is 46. Like those numbers alone are top 10 numbers.
100%. But
No
nobody
contest,
outside of the
10 numbers.
top, nobody in the top 10 have as bad as defense. So I can't give him top
That's
10
true.
because
That's
of that.
true. But I mean, it's solely because he's the smallest player in that top 10.
Yeah, 100%.
He just simply he can't he physically can't beat an opposing defender.
Yeah,
So,
100%.
That's why I feel
But
like
that's
it
why I'm
kinda
like,
sucks
if he had
for
a
him.
team defense, because even before Curry bulked up this year and became a better defender, like solidified himself as a plus
Yeah.
defender no matter what metrics you look at. Before then, you could still be like, Curry's getting 2 steals a game, near 2 steals a game. He was always in the top of deflections. He was always like there. You could always say, like, even with Curry's size, it wasn't like you could always just like pick him apart. And he was always a team defender where if somebody's driving and it's not even on him, he would go and he would try like pick at the ball. He would always be active in defense. Trae Young, I've never seen him like actively defending in that sense. Where even when he's
Yeah.
not being challenged, it's like he's trying on that end.
I think the Hawks
and look,
I think
they try and hide
I
him.
feel like they try to hide him, because offensively he does everything for
Yeah,
them.
that the
So-
DeJounte Murray thing is gonna make things so interesting.
Yeah, I think so too.
That might be what helps Trae Young go into that top 10 then. Top 12,
could.
like solid.
It could also take away from him though. Offensively,
Yeah,
it could.
because he's gonna. The
Because
thing is,
there's another ball handler.
yeah. The thing is though, because Trae Young might be more efficient. Because I want to see. That's the other thing. Because my thing with the heliocentric stuff, heliocentric offenses always boost the main person's numbers to extraordinary heights. Like when Kobe, for example, the MVP years for Kobe that we were talking about, he was running an even more heliocentric because usually he's running the triangle offense in his like championship years. That was a heliocentric offense that he was running. Same thing with before that same person who was running triangle for Jordan. When Jordan was averaging 30, it was a heliocentric. LeBron's numbers are usually within a heliocentric offense, although he usually has another ball handler to pass off the duties onto as well. So it's not as like severe for him. That's why I'm like,
Yeah.
I want him off the ball, especially with his shooting, could propel him because it can make him more efficient. Like there's other people, there's someone who he can count on where their defense is gonna be like is going to be on DeJounte Murray, and then DeJounte Murray can find that kick out.
Yeah. I mean, I hope it helps him. I'm not sure. I feel like,
And then
compare him
DeJounte
a lot
Murray
to
takes
Steph.
away helps defense as well. So
yeah,
the assignments
I feel
he's
like
not going to get as targeted either.
I feel like people assume that he can be kind of like a Steph player, but I'm not. I don't think
No.
his
I don't
catch
think
and shoot
I don't.
is good.
Yeah, I don't think he's a Steph player. But he's such a good shooter that he should have off ball within his skill set in general. You feel me?
I mean, I'm hoping so. I don't know if he's that good of a catch and shoot, 3-point shooter. I feel like he's better off the dribble, coming off of the screen.
No, 100. And I would
dribble
prefer
and
for him to have the ball in his hand still, because
Yeah.
as a pure playmaker, he's a better pure like ball with the ball in the hand decision making than Curry, in my opinion. He's more of that
Yeah.
He has more of the floor generalship. Where Steph Curry's playmaking, it extends to his off-ball movement a little bit more because of the way he's getting people open. Trae Young's playmaking is more on-ball dependent.
Honestly, is Steph Curry even a playmaker? To be honest,
He was averaging over 6 assists most of his career.
I think a lot of that comes from the amount of doubles he gets from his shooting ability.
Yeah,
which
but
of course, if you want to say that's his playmaking, I'll give it to you. But I feel like Curry isn't really like a floor general. You know, he's not he averages 6 assists, but a lot of it is either from a pick and roll, and then they double him, right?
Yeah,
Because they're scared of his shooting, or That's really it. I don't really see. I feel like
Nah, but so
just,
you also have to keep in mind when he's doing his little dribble stuff, because the thing with the Warriors system, they have a lot of cutting action. So Steph Curry is
right.
still reading the cutting actions when he still has the ball, and he's getting it to those locations as well. And then even then, a lot of the passes, like the passes I've seen Steph Curry do, where he's whipping it, I can tell he's still a skilled playmaker. And when you look in his earlier career with Mark Jackson, it's a little bit even more shown there. Because before he was doing as much off-ball work, he had more of the traditional point guard role. He wasn't like he was having like crazy assist numbers, but you could still see that he was running the conventional pick and rolls. And this is before he was getting like super duper. He was getting double teamed like he is now, as well.
Yeah.
And he was running more conventional point guard. So I'm not saying he's like top 5 playmaker in the league, maybe.
Yeah.
But he's definitely within the top 10.
He might be.
He might be. Yeah, but it's not like solidified, is what I'm saying for him.
Yeah, that's true.
That's what I would argue.
Yeah.
But all right.
Well, let's get into these trades, man. Let's get into these trades.
Dog, I won't lie, we're over the hour by.
Oh, we're over?
Yeah. Even with the cuts I make, we're like 20 minutes over.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're gonna get into the trades in the next one we do with the when we're also making predictions, because the trades are also gonna go in the predictions and everything. All right, so we got it all. But thanks for being on this episode, man. You know how people are. There's a lot of fakers, so we never know.
So. If you call, I pick up. That's how it is.
Yes, sir. All right. Well, that's the Just Talking podcast with Joel in it. Congratulations again for graduating, getting your job and everything. Want to say, put all of that in the air. Wish you the best. That's the end of the podcast.